When it's recorded. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be the second kickoff, which is sounds a little bit weird, but yeah, we had a small discussion last week for the folks that are more on the EMEA side, on the EMEA side, and now I want you to do a little bit space check if you want on more the American time zone. So yeah, this is why we're here. Thank you for interest on the book. It's a very scary book once you receive it and you start flipping through it, and that's fine. But I think it's a very exciting. For me, it's very exciting that I see people from all over the business, all over, like almost every stage has one representative on this book club, and that's very that's always a lot of fun. So last time we did a little bit of just a small introduction for everyone. We have it over here, but if you guys want to put it over there on the kickoff document itself, or if you feel like you want to share a little bit, for me, I would like to know your experience with machine learning. If this is the first time ever you get exposed to it, or if it's already in some courses, like for example the Coursera machine learning course, which is a classic. I don't know. Tell me.
Sure, I can go first. So I'm a technical account manager, which basically means I spend my time trying to help the customers use GitLab as well as possible and solve their particular problems. Most of my customers are US public sector, like different government organizations, and a lot of them are trying to use machine learning to like deliver better public services more efficiently, and for just a variety of different things. And like usual here for the government in the US, they're behind everyone else and trying to catch up in a lot of cases. So I get a lot of questions about data science and machine learning and things like that. And I'd rather be able to answer them myself rather than going and bothering people on Slack about it. So I'm trying to at least understand the fundamentals and the sort of tools they work with, and yeah, just see how I can be helpful. So I was a software developer before I was a TAM, but I have not done a lot with machine learning. So.
Cool, thanks.
Okay. So I've never done anything with machine learning. In fact, so before here, I was at Apple, where I was in the Siri team. So I was in ops in the Siri group before Siri got launched. And at that time, Siri was not what people thought it was. Almost everything that Siri replied with was pre-thought out. Like somebody had to sit down and think about everything and sort of pre-populate stuff. So they didn't switch to ML until a while later, really kind of around the time that I left the Siri team. So I was always, based on the people that I knew who were implementing the ML with Siri, I was pretty skeptical about how well it was gonna work. And I don't know, they seem to have done pretty well. Anyway, so I basically have zero experience with ML in any way, other than like knowing people who work on it. So my interest in it here is, so I'm in the support team at GitLab, and it seems like a rich environment where ML could be useful if we could figure out a way. So I don't know, we'll see.
I'm Zeph. I'm a senior SET in the quality department, working mostly with the runner team. I have some very brief exposure to machine learning, actually more deep learning neural networks. From a previous job, I got a rather humorous article from Mashable on the project I was working on. Was that in the chat? We were working on this particular robot before we spun it off, and it was fun. But I was working mostly on like the front end side of things because we were leveraging users to actually validate data and kind of boost our machine learning. So I just got a taste of it, and it really interested me. So I kind of wanted to dive into it a little bit more. I'm definitely interested in the second half of the book, but I'll have to get through the first half first, because I'm just not there.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I zoom off because apparently the people were in another Zoom call. Like there were 5 people in a different Zoom call, and then there were 2 Zoom calls happening over this same thing. So thanks, Kenny, to take a look at it, to reach out to me. I don't know why this happened, but well, it happened.
Yeah, I think there were 2 invites in the meeting, and we all were twiddling our thumbs. I'll look up who was in that meeting and ping them on that Slack thread I just pinged.
Funny thing that this is very probabilistic, that half the people just arrived at one meeting and the other half at another different meeting.
Yeah.
So yeah, and for the 3 that were here, also very different backgrounds. And I like what Diana said about, like, okay, Siri started without machine learning first, just very like what we call heuristics. And for me, that's the right way to start with machine learning, because you first have to test the use case, and starting with machine learning is very, very slow, and it takes a lot of resources. And testing out that way is great, even though the users, it might not give the best answer or the best outcome, but at least it sets up for success later. But within your areas right now, do you see what kind of, like, if you think of machine learning, what kind of use cases do you see over there? That's exactly before knowing anything about machine learning, because I want to see this before and after as well.
Oh, I actually, when I was reading chapter 1, wrote a bunch of notes for places where it might be interesting for GitLab products. So I don't know what I would have said before, but I could tell you what little notes I wrote on the side of my book about it. Yeah, where was that? Certain page where I was like, classifying incidents, summarizing incident timelines. I was thinking about things for the ops section, which I'm involved with. They specifically said detecting credit card fraud, but pipeline anomalies and anomaly alerts for like metrics and alerting, and then recommended and similar issues I thought about for great use cases. There's like a page about example applications that I wrote on the side of.
Yeah, for me, from the quality side, it was more interested in trying to analyze our failures and figure out exactly, or if we can categorize these things and see if we can point to other sources. We have lots of possible infrastructure related failures, but we're talking about flaky tests, and we can't tell where the flakiness is coming from, kind of situation. So it would just be helpful to be able to have something go through sometimes the massive number of issues that we can have, and maybe even simplify our rotation process we have for watching all the pipeline jobs for deployments.
Beyond what I was mentioning earlier about just that I get a lot of questions from my customers about their own data science and machine learning type projects and how GitLab can support them. We're also just starting to look at using the data we've been collecting to help us work more effectively. So the data team is currently helping us build a model to predict which customers are most likely to either downgrade from Ultimate to Premium or reduce the number of seats they're using. And I think that's going to be the beginning of a lot more work in that area. So I've been just sort of, providing support to them as a TAM, giving them data and stuff like that. But I can't really be of any use beyond that at the moment because I don't have a lot of background in this. But I'd like to be able to be a better partner to the data team and others that are helping us make better use of what we have. And an understanding the fundamentals here, I think, would help with that.
From the support team perspective, GitLab, as you know, is a very complicated product, and we get all kinds of crazy things from customers. And I mean, every customer might explain something completely differently. So you have basically all of these twisty passages all alike, and it's too big of a surface of knowledge for any one person to keep in their head. And a lot of times we'll have issues that come up like, oh, with 14.8, there's this problem. And how do you keep track of all of this? And so, I don't know, my idea, Zendesk, which is what we use, I think has some kind of ML that they use to build a knowledge base that customers can look at, which we're not using. But I was thinking of it in terms more of being able to help the support engineers to easily sort of get some direction. Because I mean, one of the bigger problems that I see frequently is everybody has, somebody will take a ticket and they'll go down a path and it's completely the wrong path. And it really becomes a rat hole that never ends. And so if we could prevent even just that with some kind of a direction up front, I think that would be helpful for us.
Cool. Some people are still not joining. We're talking in the other chat here because
We lost Kenny already.
Yeah, I think he's trying to figure out this one. Oh. And we did it. We shared the wrong. We knew that it was wrong, and then we shared again the wrong one. Okay. I'm back. Okay. It's interesting. It's nice to see like potential use cases around GitLab coming from the edges, not from like the central place thinking about cases where potential machine learning can be used, but from the edges, from the use cases coming. And hi, Alan. Finally, we got sorry about the Neo and everyone who's joining now. It was a small bug. I don't know how end up with 2 different invites or 2 different links, but well, a little bit annoying. So, like I said before to the other folks, we had another kickoff last week for AMER, and I want to give this opportunity to American Time Zone as well, so that we can discuss a bit the process and why we are here in general, like getting to know you as well, because we're gonna try to do this mostly async rather than sync. So we're gonna have very few of these sync sessions. Most of it will be async studies, but it's nice to like get to know each other a little bit before this starts. So for the folks that are joining now, I would like to know a little bit your roles within GitLab and your experience with GitLab, with the machine learning so far, so that we can a little bit divide the groups that are studying.
I guess I can start. My name is Kenny. I'm a product leader. I cover the ops section. I have rudimentary programming experience. And actually the thing that made me feel more comfortable about joining this book club is that my rudimentary experience is all actually in Python. So hopefully that will be of use here. Yeah, my experience with machine learning in GitLab is none. But I am interested in learning what it's like to be a developer who is interacting with both models and code simultaneously, as well as think through ways we can use this tool to solve user problems in GitLab, the product itself.
Everyone, I'm Neil. I'm a front-end engineering manager within our security department. I've been with GitLab for 2 years now, rarely hands-on. It's difficult to dive into product and feature work. So when I saw this book club come up, it's an opportunity for me to parallelize in an area I'm interested in. I don't have experience with machine learning, but I figured a guided experience working with other peers sounds fun.
My name is Alan Cook. I'm a backend engineer on release and been a software developer for a while, and machine learning is just an area I don't really have a lot of experience with. So really wanted to dive in and get some hands-on knowledge about what actually I can do with this stuff. So.
Brett Walker with Plan. The only experience I have is watching Stan's little labeling engine run, which is not much. But yeah, I'm wanting to see how learn the technology a little bit and see how maybe it'll apply to Plan and issues and stuff.
Cool. So yeah, like I said to the other folks, what excites me like the most about this book club is the variety of like the representation of the different stages on this book club. You have people from plan, from ops, from support, from test, from everywhere, and this is really fun because this is where the fun come in. And especially since we work remote, we are usually just on a bubble of the people we work normally with. So we only talk from stage, we only talk from people with from I don't know, from Create or whatnot. And this is a little bit of cross pollination of knowledge between the different areas. So I find this really fun. So what we did last week was come up with a small process. I added this to the agenda. We tried to find a way to do this as much async as possible. And I want to hear your feedback if you have any other ideas that you can put on top of it. So the basic assumption is that we will not finish the book. We don't expect to finish the book. I think this is setting up ourselves for failure, really. It's just too high of expectation. What we decided is kind of, instead of doing really a book club, more a chapter club almost. So we choose we go through the book, choose which chapters we want to go through, and we want to study. And then we created a project where each chapter has its own issue. And we go there and we assign ourselves the issue for that specific chapter and write down that you're reading that book. That issue becomes the forum where we ask questions, where we discuss use cases or discuss code for that specific chapter or anything, any question that you might have. So this way is also a way that if we want to do a further book club on this specific book, we, like all other people want to study our notes or anything, they have this like a breadcrumbs and paper trail of what we did. And then once most people or a few people have finished that chapter, we can get together again for that chapter and, I don't know, write a blog post or a small discussion of what each one learned, possible use cases within their scope, and I don't know, whatever the group wants to learn. Last but not least, I think it would be nice if we could set ourselves to read one chapter per week. But again, there's no book club police that will just knock on your door and arrest you because you didn't read it. So no, there's no time pressure. It's better that you read 2 or 3 chapters well, then you try to push one per week, and then you burn out. You like burn out of the book reading by the second week, and you don't read anything. Also, if you notice that this is not adding to your expectations of what the book would be, don't be afraid to drop out. I don't know. Like, it's not worth to spend the time on something that you're not really interested about. It's better just to use the time to play video games or I don't know, whatever, and then trying to push yourself on it, right? So that's the TLDR of what we discussed last week. If you have any suggestions to give, let's discuss it.
I do have a process C question. So I have added my name to the first 3 chapters, but like as I read a chapter, I should kind of put my notes about what I thought of that chapter in the issue, and then others might respond to it. Or I guess how will we facilitate a discussion about it if we're all kind of reading it various different times?
What I thought about was seed the issue chapter, the chapter issue with the questions on the back of the chapter,
Okay.
so that we can discuss. If you want to put your notes, that's great, because then we can other people can discuss the notes. If you have questions, it's a forum. You can really add anything you might want over there. It's a free for all. I've never ran a book club this large, and I really don't know if this format will be successful. I have high hopes for it. I think we really got some like cool setup, very GitLab setup, if you will. Yeah, but we're still figuring out the process. And really, if the process doesn't match what your learning style, your study style, feel free to just do your own thing and use create a different issue that you can ask questions or whatever. It's just that we need like a more async, better place to ask questions, I think, than relying on the scenes.
I like it. And I think the idea of adding, the prompt for questions would be great. Sounds good.
Any other comments? Any other ideas?
No, I mean, I think what's in place looks like a great first iteration, and we won't know whether or not it works until we try it. And then we'll adjust as needed.
One concern that I have is how some people are really self-driven and they can learn this, but some people like when somebody nudges them to go through some chapter that I have. What ideas could we like? How could we nudge these people? How could we should we tag everyone? Like, should I go over in 2 weeks and tag everyone for the status update? Or I would like some ideas on that.
I mean, I think that once you add yourself to an issue on a specific chapter, then you're going to get pinged on, anything that anybody else adds to that issue. So I think that in itself is a nudge, which may be enough.
So we're talking about adding ourselves as assignees to the issue?
I added so on the issues that I looked at, there was in the description, people were just adding their name as I'm signing up to read this chapter, I think. And so, yeah, that's what I did.
If we add ourselves as assignees, we could stick a due date on each of these in the roughly like 1 a week starting like next week. And then people would get your issue's almost due email from GitLab. But that might be more, we have to decide the right amount of pushy, to your point, Eduardo. Like we want to nudge, but we don't want to shove people or make them feel like guilty about it.
Okay, let's do the following. If you want me to nudge you, send me a DM, and then I'll write down that I should nudge you after X amount of time, and then I will do this on private so that it's not like public shaming or anything. But I agree with Diana. I think that will give like one problem that happens is people forget. So if we have a constant emails because we are assigned over there and we put our names, it might help like drive this. It's like bringing the food from the back of the fridge to the front. when we get that email, and we end up not forgetting. I put myself as assignee. I think it's kind of like a cool setup that, okay, this is assigned to myself, and when I finish, I can unassign. It's also on my list of to-dos of everything that I need to do in the following weeks as well. So I like it. But initially, it was just to put your name on the description. But I think it might be a good setup to put yourself as assignee, because then you know, if you open your issues, you will see that over there that you need to read, or you sign yourself up to reading that book. Anything else on this? Anyone who wants to give a suggestion, tell a joke, or anything, any comments, or I don't know.
I'll share one quick thing I ran into. If you bought it on Kindle and you try to use the Kindle web viewer, it won't let you copy text out of it, which is really super annoying, because oftentimes when you're walking through a tutorial and they give you a big chunk of code, you don't want to have to manually type it. So if you Google, you'll find the repo with all the Jupyter notebooks for all the chapters. I think it's on that other Git hosting website that we don't like. And you can look at those and then incorporate them into your notebook for, you know, whatever chunk of code it is. But don't plan to copy and paste out of the ebook if you've got that.
Can you post a link to those Jupyter chapters on the project README?
Yes.
It's a little bit below over here. It's on the issue of it's on both the README of the repository of the project and also on the issue of the book club.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it.
Yeah, it's over there.
Already done. Cool. So yep, that I found that repo to be very handy.
Okay, so what I'm going to do also as well, I'm not going to see every question on the issues. I'm going to post one question every 2 days, so that it's always upping for the people that are assigned to the issues and reminding them. I'm going to be the Duolingo owl for everyone, I guess. You forget your Spanish lessons. So, okay. If anybody has anything else to say, otherwise.
Yes, thank you so much for organizing and all this. It looks like you got more interest than you thought you did, which means more management than you thought you were going to have to do, and we appreciate it.
I have a lot of fun organizing this kind of stuff. I think it's really fun. I like getting people from different places of the business together to talk about this kind of thing. This is what drives innovation for me the most, and people that don't share the same day-to-day process or knowledge get together and study and forget. It's when new ideas come up. So I'm enjoying it a lot as well. Cool. Then. I will stop the recording now.
Actually, Eduardo, I got one thing. I was adding it to the agenda. I noticed the book doesn't have a whole lot of guidance on like getting your system set up and all of those things. I'm curious, really, from a GitLab perspective, how are we doing it in your group? For example, managing your system or using PyEnv, virtual ENV, whatever, to manage all of your things. So it would probably be useful. I know I get lost in the weeds when I start going through some of that tooling.
Yeah, no, we're still learning. I think we should add, this is a really good question that I can spend a lot of time writing about. I think we could add this as a question to the issues. Create the issue specific for this question, because then we can write it down over there and discuss, and then have other people chime in that are not on this call exactly. I can even tag the people from the Applied ML team, that because they could answer this a lot better. We have people also from Verify, no, from SEC, using machine learning. We have a small kind of like machine learning meetup as well, where they discuss setup around how they did the setup for their machine learning models. We're discussing evolution of it as well. So let's add a question over there, and then we can I can chime in over in there, and then it's open for more people eventually as well, and the public as well, which is nice.
Since the chapters are specific more to actually kind of ML theory, and not any one of them actually address kind of the back end technical things, should we have a separate issue for it so we know where to look for it?
I think this is an issue that this is a question that might get a lot of. We can either create an issue for random questions that we don't know if it fits in there or not, or we can create an issue specific for this question. And I don't know what would be best. I will let you decide when you create the question over there.
I think having a specific issue for the setup in particular is a good idea. And then maybe there's another one for random questions, or maybe as people come up with random questions, they decide on the fly whether or not it's worth creating an issue.
Exactly. I think the second chapter is about end-to-end machine learning project or something. It could be over there. It's a little bit about the setup, about how to do. That question could come up on the second chapter as well.
That's where I ran into it, because the first chapter is all introduction. The second chapter was the point where I hit that same question, and I was like, okay, how do I actually get this thing working? And then I monkeyed around with it for a while, and eventually got something that was good enough. But I definitely want to hear how you're actually supposed to do it from people who know what they're talking about.
You'll be surprised at how not classic it is. Like, but yeah, no, we can discuss a little bit better over there. Usually, for me, we have now the Applied ML has set up a full pipeline for machine learning within the GitLab pipelines, which is really cool to see. And I have some examples over there also of different pipelines that I set up with GitLab, so we can share over there.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten to chapter 2 yet. There's some details in there, but if there's something like we do within GitLab teams that is kind of more standard, I'd love to hear that too.
There's no standard yet. So there's no standard. GitLab is very young on machine learning. The team is very young, so I don't know, 6 months now. I have been in the company I'm not on the machine learning, I'm not on the model ops stage. I'm on the incubation engineering department, which is kind of a different thing. But I also joined 6 months ago. So most of the use cases are very new to the company. We're still building the culture around machine learning. The team is doing the Applied ML is doing a great job at that as well. So we can share over there. And it's nice because now we can see this evolution, because our customers are going through this evolution themselves, right? So we are kind of like dogfooding not only the product, but building up the culture, which is really cool experience. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I'll give 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, thank you all, folks. It's a pleasure. I'm really excited about this book club. It's the first time running here at GitLab. It's quite large. I'm quite surprised, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do this async, and then we'll figure out the next steps over time. Cool. Thank you all for joining, and sorry for this smoke bug in the beginning. I have absolutely no idea how that happened, but I'm glad everyone joined this one afterwards. Thanks, Kenny, for pointing that out. That was weird.
Awesome. Thank you, Eduardo.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Enjoy.